And we've talked about this, that there's rulers everywhere that are not really great guys, whether it's Bush, whether it's the Saudi Arabian sheiker. I mean, there's a lot of, and a lot of these countries, China, Saudi Arabia, Israel, we're allies with. Why? Because we have big money involved in trade and goods, okay? Mm-hmm. So we don't really care what their leaders do. We don't care if the leader of Saudi Arabia is whipping women because they had a thing the other day because they watched a sex ed TV show. This lady got 50 lashes, okay? It's okay, because you know what? We have big trade going on with them. The reason we got mad at Saddam Hussein is, once again, it was some kind of business deal.
Well, I thought he was considering selling or purchasing oil not in dollars anymore.
Right. He was changing to euro. He was going to change his oil revenue to euros, which coincidentally Iran has also threatened to do. And almost every time Iran has said, you know, we're going to go to the euro for trading our oil instead of the dollar, 2 days later, all of a sudden, we suspect that they're building a nuclear bomb. Okay, it's no coincidence. I mean, it's always economic. It's always big business, and that's why we turned the table. It wasn't that all of a sudden we said, you know what, you were mean to the Kurds, so we're going to invade. He was mean to the Kurds like 10 years before, with biological weapons we provided to him. Okay. That was just an excuse like 9/11. It wasn't the reason. It was something else. He was nationalizing the oil. He was changing the euros. It was, you know, Bush was trying to clean up for his dad. Some people said, who knows?
Well, you know, we're all kind of responsible in a certain way because we're all sort of addicted to oil. And until we all start, you know, we're sort of feeding the machine ourselves. And we all have to look at each other and realize that we are addicted to oil, our addictions. But is it worth continuing to send our sons and daughters off to war to feed our addiction of oil? We have to be able to find a different way, you know, a new system. And I'd rather take all that money that we have over there on those wars and put it towards, I mean, just imagine alternative energies and that we could find with that money. I mean, what research could be done, and you know.
One of the solutions here in Vermont is to put windmills on the ridge tops, on the mountains. We have a lot of mountains here, and a lot of wind up there. Yeah. Up in the Northeast Kingdom, what do people think about that? You
know, I don't know. I would leave it up to the people to decide what they want to do. I think there's been some opposition to it, and some are in favor of it. I haven't really. I'm sort of on the fence in that. You know, I take more of the decentralized approach. The people should be able to decide what they want to do, and if they want to put windmills in their community, then so be it. I don't know. I don't have the answers to all of the energy solutions, but I think if you free up the people to be creative and create new ideas and come about with new things, they'll find a way.
Yeah, I think I think if people knew, you know, here's your choice. We can send your sons and daughters away to war to secure oil 10,000 miles away, or we can use that same money to keep your kids here and build alternative energy. It's an easy choice. You know, they're just not being told that. They're not being given that choice because of the amount of money tied up in these big corporations to keep the oil going. You know, I mean, we've got to change over. I mean, it's been talked about in Congress. Yeah, we've got to get away from our dependence on oil, and they've even said, they admit, because they know why they're there. They say, yeah, we've got to get away from our dependence on oil so we don't have to be involved in these armed conflicts with these countries who have the oil. You know, they know, you know.
Well, the problem is the corporations are controlling our government, so nothing seems to change, so the system's broken.
Right.
So what choice do we have now? That is, you have to break away from the larger group.
Yeah.
That's key. Free ourselves up. I feel the people will come up with a solution and create a new metaphor for Vermont. I really do.
So you put your faith in an independent Vermont?
The Independent Republic
nation.
of Vermont, absolutely. Yes. Once we free up and do away with the federal regulations, I think the people of Vermont, their history is they're very ingenuitive, and you know, coming up with the first electric motor, John Deere. I mean, Vermont has always been very creative. You know, I have a friend up in Concord that does these great things with builds these contraptions and just gets in there and welds stuff together, and they come up with ideas and they think things through, and they make it happen. They're people who you know, just do it. And I have faith in the Vermont spirit, the pioneer spirit, that we can pioneer new ways of thinking as long as if we can free up the youth and give them their voices and let them, take away all the restrictions that are being put on us from the federal government. They'll come up with creative solutions to the problems that we're facing. But I mean, of course, Vermont is not going to be energy independent. I mean, it's not going to happen. Some people will argue that for Vermont to be independent, well, you have to be energy independent and food independent. That's not the case. We're going to have to import our energy when we're an independent republic, and we're going to have to import our food. And some people might argue that, well, if you seceded from the United States, that they would put an embargo on the United States. Well, we have Canada, and they didn't honor the embargo with Cuba. So I have faith that Quebec, and we're going to be able to trade with the rest of the world. It's not like we're isolating ourselves. But at the same time, we can be working on creative energy solutions and creative food solutions. But, Japan imports all of their oil, and 98% of their food is imported. So, and they're independent. So there's no reason that Vermont can't be an independent republic and become a fantastic place where everybody can come together and create a new way of life, and set the example and bring about the dissolution of the Union, because the system's broken. And Jefferson was right. We need a revolution every so often. I think it's time. Peaceful, of course. Yeah.
Vermont, yes, I think it's important to make that point.
Vermont is staged to be peaceful. It's small communities, farms, hillside farming. It's the perfect place to begin the peaceful revolution. It really is. We have no strategic value whatsoever to the United States except an aging nuclear power plant. Man, when Vermont becomes an independent republic, it's going to be a great day. My kids are going to have a future. They'll be able to stay here, live here, and grow up here, because we'll revitalize our local economies. Our agricultural economy will come back. We will have so many more opportunities. We can export the Vermont mystique, and I believe the world will embrace us, because it's a David and Goliath battle. Who would think of it? Tiny Vermont taking on the empire, but in there lies the power, and that's where we're going to find Vermonters will rise to the occasion. I just think it's going to be a great day.
When you talk about revolution, Dennis, I take objection really to that word, even though we made it clear that we're not talking about a violent revolution. And after all, Reagan talked about a revolution when he became president, and so it's a legitimate word, but so many people associate it with violence, and I prefer to talk about a peaceful process by which we can vote to secede from the Union.
Well, yeah, it has to. Well, you have to use the current system that's in place within Vermont, and I truly believe that the town halls is one way to start, I was able to do that and get it on the. It's not hard to get that resolution on the town hall warning. 5% of the signatures. So when it gets ready when people are ready for it, they'll be able to do it. And then I also believe in getting people to run for office. I think is the most important thing we can start doing now, because there are apparently, I've been told, maybe 12 or so closet secessionists in the state legislature right now, but they're not willing to come out yet and talk about it. So, but I think it's time. We're going to go down with the Titanic, or are we going to set a lifeboat? And I think Vermont is the lifeboat, and we can create the new way of life and a new system. I think we're ready. So call it what it will, Vermont independence movement, revolution. We can soften it up either way, but it's time.